Hello there. Thank you for tuning in again. As you can see, we have a Triton V10 out of a 2001 F250. So this pickup has been sitting for a few years and I plan to get it running again. It had a few things wrong with it when I parked it a couple, 3 years ago. Well, it's actually closer to 4 years now, I suppose, but I just got done blasting it out with the air hose. And honestly, the wiring and everything in here looks pretty good, in my opinion, for having a giant's rat's nest in it. A giant rat's nest. Gosh, tripping over my tongue already. But when I popped the hood, this whole area here was covered with nest. And you know how pack rats are. If you've got pack rats, you know how they are. They just build stuff up and they haul in sticks and bark and fireweeds and pigweeds and just everything, and they just stuff it in there. They make a mess. They I don't know if you can tell back there. I'm doing my best with the camera. There's a glare on it as usual, but I don't know if you can tell back there, but they kind of ate on the firewall a bit. Well, actually, maybe back through there's a better spot. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is doing pretty good. It looks good. I'm happy with it. I was afraid that a bunch of those wires would be chewed off, but they're not. There's one right, where is it? Now, that right there. And then back here, that green wire. But other than that, it doesn't look too bad. I got my parts ordered from O'Reilly the other day. They should be here tomorrow. Today's Sunday, so they should be here Monday. But yeah, you know, a lot of this stuff looks really good through here. I was afraid that they had come through and chewed a bunch of this off, especially on these, now, if I could see past the glare there, especially on these ignition coils right there, I was afraid they'd have chewed that off, but they didn't, and I'm glad. So, there, now the glare's gone, I can see what I'm filming, so I know for a fact that needs to be replaced, and I don't know, I mean, probably that belt, just for good measure. But the fan still spins. I mean, there's some trash in there. It's not, the bearing's not bad or anything. But I've got a new water pump coming, in addition to an idler and a thermostat, which goes right there. I've got 10 spark plugs coming. I'm going to do all new plugs, which is going to be difficult because way back there, right off the end of my finger, is the hardest one to get to. On the other side, it's not too bad. You know, they're not bad to get to. You got some room to maneuver around the breather and return lines for the air intake, and then you've also got some room around where your engine oil fill is at. But I'm very happy and very relieved. I was afraid that a bunch of these wires would be chewed off really bad, and they're not. I mean, I got some vacuum lines that are bad, of course. I don't know what they do. They're probably not important. I'm gonna get new battery ends and put on, because those were junk when this thing was running. So very, very happy. I mean, it all looks pretty good in here. I apologize for my erratic camera skills. I'm still getting used to this. I promise one of these days I'll be better. I always seem to film when the sun's got a glare on the camera. That makes it difficult for me to see what I'm doing. You guys will probably just see it fine on video, but yeah, I'm happy with this. This is good, because, you know, auto parts aren't cheap. Throttle body looks okay. I had the air intake line and stuff off. It's clean in there. I'm happy with that. It's missing an alternator, as you could probably tell. It needs a new alternator, so I'll have to get one of those yet. And what else? Oh, thermostat. To get a thermostat from the most convenient location, store-wise, for O'Reilly, and then have it shipped to home, well, they didn't have that available. Thermostat's a special order part, which I think is kind of dumb, but, you know, I'll get that ordered in and I'll go pick it up at a store in addition to the alternator. So, it's kind of brief summary of what's going on with this thing. when it was running last, and it was not running very good. It tended to overheat, and the air conditioner and the heater wouldn't work very well. I think that's connected to the overheating problem, which means it's either the thermostat or the water pump. The water pump's right there, and then the thermostat is right up here, of course. They're not hard to get to. I know the idler was bad because, well, it had that grinding sound even before it sat here and rusted. What else was wrong? It had fuel issues. You could let it sit and idle, and most of the time it would idle fine, but if you tried to put it in gear or drive it, it would just die. And the transmission's got plenty of fluid in it. It smells a little rancid, but it's got good fluid in there. The engine oil, you know, that's good. There's nothing weird with it. So I think it's a fuel pump problem. I replaced a fuel filter once, and the old filter I took off. This was several years ago now, but that fuel filter I took off, it wasn't that dirty. I put a new one on, and I didn't run it very long before the pickup just quit completely. Well, I parked it here, and that was that. But I think that was connected to perhaps a bad alternator. I know the battery was weak because I tried to use the battery out of this on something else, and it was just junk. So fuel pump, idler, water pump, thermostat, spark plugs, like I said, just for good measure. I ain't putting 10 new ignition coils in this. Those are $60 a piece. And that's not even the Motorcraft ignition coil. But there was something else I ordered that I was going to put in here. Well, of course, filters, fuel, air, oil, and then I'll put new oil in it. And I think that's it for now. And then I get all that in, it should start and run, and then I can see what the hell else is wrong with this. May need to redo some hoses. May need to do some other stuff. I don't know. Oh, I remember what it was. It was this degas bottle right here, which is what Ford calls it. It's a frickin' coolant tank. I don't care who you are, but they call it a degas bottle. That's the other thing I bought, because I'd left the hood open on this for so long to deter rat accumulation. The plastic got awful brittle. You shouldn't be able to do that. So I got a new one of these, but it's not leaking. I mean, it's still got coolant in it, but I got a new degas bottle, so I'm going to drain the coolant down, and I'll get a new one of those in. New thermostat, new water pump, all good stuff like that. Fuel pump, new oil filter, new oil, new spark plugs. This thing ought to run decent, and then I can have the wires fixed. But hey, you know what? I'm looking at this. I just now noticed this. I don't think the wires are bad. I think they just ate through the shielding. So props to the shielding. That ought to be just fine. I'll tape that up and we'll call her good. I think that's the temperature sensor for the coolant, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look in the book. But yeah, that's the status of this project so far. It's coming along. Gonna get this moved to a better spot, here in a couple days, and then I'll be able to crawl underneath and really get to work on stuff. I don't want to crawl in all the nest and whatnot I just knocked off on the ground. But get this moved to a more open location and get her fixed up, get her going again. I have faith in her. I do. Fluids are good. It wasn't burning oil when it was running last. It was just some stuff that probably needed to be done, regular maintenance. So I'll get that all taken care of, and everything ought to be kosher. I'll be posting updates as I can, but due to time constraints and weather, I may not. So if you'd stick with me, that'd be great. If not, that's great too. Whatever floats your boat. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.